welcome to Smiling in the Dark, the podcast where we, your resident smilers, put the kids to bed, unlock the front door, turn off the lights and smile our way through the horrors. One theme, one subgenre, and one sleepless night at a time. I'm Ross.
I'm Adam.
And this opening season, we're going to be focusing on some films that invented some of our favourite horror subgenres. So, Adam, over the next 12 episodes, we'll be looking at the mothers or fathers of the likes of psychological horror with Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, When Nature Attacks with Jaws, found footage with the Blair Witch Project, cosmic horror with James Carpenter's The Thing, and many, many more.
Nice.
Our episode today focuses on a genre that has, over the last 100 years, shone beautifully in the darkness, with the likes of Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, 30 Days of Night, which I know you're a fan of.
Oh, yes.
And 1987's underrated gem, Near Dark. But it's also justifiably had the coffin lid slammed shut on it, with the likes of Twilight, of course, and lesbian vampire killers.
Oh.
So, Adam, with all that said, today's focus is a 1922 silent German expressionist vampire film, which has just recently had the Robert Eggers treatment. So, Adam, shall we smile in the dark and discuss Nosferatu?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, Nosferatu. I'm going to hit you with a very brief synopsis of Nosferatu, and then we'll get into the film. Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror, is a 1922 silent film directed by F.W. Murnau and stars Max Schreck as Count Orlok, Gustav von Wangenheim as Hutter, and Greta Schroeder as his love, Ellen. Those must be some of the best names that we're even going to come across.
Fantastic.
Across any subgenre of film. Any horror fan most likely knows the plot of Nosferatu, and almost most likely knows that it's rather controversially and unauthorized. There's lots of big words here. An unauthorized adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula. So here it is. Synopsis. In the Carpathian Mountains, vampire Count Orlok expresses his interest in purchasing a new residence in the German town of Visberg. As he learns more about Hutter, the young real estate agent who has been sent to negotiate the sale, he soon also becomes interested in his wife, Ellen. And there it is. Go take a breath. Is this your first time watching the 1922 version of Nosferatu?
This was my first time watching this. I'd heard about it. I had been aware of it. I think I didn't really know. I assumed it'd be a silent film. I didn't really know how that would play out because I've not really watched any silent films. I've also not seen the new Nosferatu.
Okay.
But yeah, was this your first viewing of this?
No.
Well,
no. Last year I did 31 Days of Horror during Halloween, and this was one of my films that I watched during that.
Okay.
So yeah, odd to say, but no, this isn't the first time I've seen the 1922 Nosferatu. I love A Symphony of Horror.
Oh yeah. It's a great little addition to the title.
It is. It's a real flourish.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're not going to talk through the plot, are we? Because I don't think there's any need to really.
No.
Let's talk about some stuff like what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it, and take it from there. But I do want to know if you enjoyed it, because it is an odd thing watching for us. It's an odd thing watching a silent film. I think a new experience.
I'll say I kind of enjoyed it. I think what's really difficult is you try and put yourself. This isn't going to scare you watching it right now. but this is 1922. And if you try to overlook all of the technical ability that they have now to scare you and think that people have never really seen anything like this on a screen, I was curious about how I would find it without dialogue. So there's no dialogue, but there's a couple of things going on to help guide you as you're going. So there's like pop-ups showing you some dialogue, basically, where there's communication between characters. And there's also the music, which will go a bit foreboding or go a bit jaunty in terms of the way that the scene that's playing out in front of you is supposed to be hitting you. So it was my first kind of experience of that. That was different. That was quite different. Because you're used to, I think in horror films, you're used to the music playing a big part, but not playing the only audio you're actually going to hear through the experience. So, yeah. There were some moments in it I thought were pretty cool. Like, again, just taking into account what the limitations would have been when doing this. Because they sort of play with shadow and things like that a bit. I think one of the scenes was where you see him as a shadow on the staircase.
That's an iconic scene, isn't it?
And I'd seen that before, and it just didn't dawn on me that I'd seen it here, from this, rather, until I saw it again. And then there was also it was one of the sort of travelling sequences where there was like what would I describe it as? Like a negative exposure scene,
right,
where everything went, I think, did it go a bit green and things like that? And obviously, again, playing really limited with what they had technology-wise, I thought that looked pretty cool.
Nice. I like the imagery of some of it as well, and one of the things that I really liked is that scene that you talk about climbing up the stairs, working with the shadows. I also liked that there was two other images that I wrote down. There's one where he's on the sailboat and coming over to Germany, and he starts sort of taking people out. And he climbs up, and he's sort of popping his head up through to come on the top level of the sailboat, and he's just sort of looking around.
Yeah,
and it could be really hokey, but I think it works with the music and in the black and white. It looks. I liked that. It was quite creepy, and I also like when our main guy Hutter. When he sort of clicks on that something weird's going on here, and he eventually ends up down in the sort of bottom of the castle and pulls the lid off the coffin, and he's just lying there sleeping. I imagine like 1922 audiences being in the cinema and be like, like totally terrified of that. I really like that as well.
Yeah, I was trying to think, if you're watching this and you're in 1922 and we're like, but we're a very long time ago. No, it's kind of a time before I can comprehend anything existing, which is weird. But like, if you're there and watching this, some of the visuals, like, because to us, I think watching it now, to me anyway, Count Orlok has a bit of a look about him. And it is, as soon as I saw him, I was kind of wanting to laugh. I was like, that's just a bit ridiculous. But I was trying to think, what would people watching this be thinking of what they're seeing? Like this sort of creepy ghoul type thing. And then the sort of the contrast with the two main other characters that you see who are pretty normal looking. And just thinking, would this scare people? Probably would. They have no idea what they're looking at. And I think even if you know the story, the sort of jarring somebody giving you a visual rather than you creating it in your own mind as you're reading it, that must hit you in a totally different way.
Yeah, 100%. Like people, I've no idea, but I imagine people are seeing films as something that they go to do with pretty much no idea what they're going to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe based on a poster.
Mm-hmm.
And the poster at that time has Count Orlok on it, so you know you're getting that, but then you mix in the sort of tense atmosphere and the music and all that. And
Mm-hmm.
I imagine it must have been a great time to, like we live in an age of knowing everything about everything before it's even on the screen, and you've seen the trailer 40 times on YouTube and on the telly and everything. And yeah, I do wish that we sort of had a little bit more of that, of being... I mean, you can do that for yourself, obviously, but it's a hard thing to do, I think.
Yeah. I was wondering I'm trying to remember what scene this happens in, but there's a moment where I think Orlok is discovered and he goes from a laying position to a standing position. Just kind of almost like there's somebody lifting behind and pushing him up. And that would, I think, come across really creepy, because I think you'd be thinking, well, how did they do that? And, you can make things like that happen so easily now. Just, it doesn't have to be real. You can just make it happen. But to see that and that totally unnatural human way of moving from one position to another, again, I was thinking probably quite jarring to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, we're 104 years on, I think. And I honestly feel like it stayed with me a few days. It's maybe, about a week ago, maybe? Yeah, I think it was. Some of the bits and pieces have stayed with me. So, like, that says a lot for a film that's that old, I think. Like you were saying, that you were finding the look comical, which is understandable, but I think maybe because I've seen it before, that was less jarring to me. I find the look, like, refreshing. It's not a CGI whatever. I find it quite refreshing. I like the dark eyes, the ears. Everything. I really like the look of them.
Nice.
And I actually like the sort of silent aspect of it as well, with the music, like you were saying, the tense music. The film's really good at building a bit of dread, I would say.
Very good at creating the dark gothic imagery as well. I think everything around Orlok that you see just has this different look and feel to it. I think when Hutter is first going into his home and you see him quite taken aback by a lot of things he's seeing. And again, we are hundreds of years of horror movies from this point onwards, but it's actually something that I think a lot of modern horrors get wrong, is creating that atmosphere, that feeling of dread, that sort of something's not right here, but what exactly is it? And are the other characters realising as quickly as you as the viewer realising that something's off?
Nice.
It's something that I think frustrates me with modern horrors, but I thought they did a good job with that here.
Yeah, there's definitely feels like there's a cheapness to a lot of jump scares and things like that we get now, and I think there is an art to building that dread, like you're saying. I agree with you there. I did have some things that I didn't particularly love, and you mentioned one of them. And I don't know if it was the copy I watched. I watched it on Amazon Prime. And I don't know if this was the version I watched, and you'll be able to tell me. In the times where the wife, Ellen, is staying with her friends, she goes to stay with the friends whilst he goes away, the music was... Did you get the same music? It's overbearingly whimsical.
Yeah, and I watched it on a different platform, so I'm guessing that just is what you get.
Right.
Because it kind of... I suppose you want it to take you out of the feeling of the rest of it, it probably goes a wee bit too far.
Aye. It's almost like, when you're watching something and you've got it at the level you want it, and then it goes to adverts, and adverts blow you out your seat. It was a little bit like that. A wee bit.
Yeah.
And something else that I felt became a little bit tedious as I was watching it. And I'm surprised at this because I like this sort of thing, was that it felt like the journey on the boat seemed to take quite a long time.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, yeah, we get it. Like, I like the creeping death aspect of him taking out these guys and all that, but it seemed to take a really long time.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure about how, like, the sort of the portioning up of the story was going to go, because in my mind, knowing the general story, I thought that the journey, when it started, I thought, oh, we'll be creeping towards the end now. But it was probably only about halfway through. And then that journey, I did take you to within about 15 minutes of the end, I think, by the time we got there. So yeah. It did drag out a bit.
Because by the time he actually starts to creep his way up the stairs, there's like 4 minutes left of the film or something.
Yeah.
I was surprised at that, especially having watched that 2024 version, and there's a lot of action once he gets to where he's going with the wife. I didn't expect to get similar sort of scenes as you do in this 1922 version. Okay, was there any other aspects of what you liked or what maybe didn't work for you so much that you wanted to talk about?
I think it wasn't so much things that were in the control of this film. I did find at times the lack of dialogue a little bit, like, you look for dialogue to take you along the story. And much as there were some of the pop-ups, and some of them were I really liked what was written in some of them. It was quite unsettling, some of the stuff that was written on some of them. But there wasn't a dialogue pop-up for every scenario you saw being played out. And some of it, I was thinking, what is actually going on here? But you get there with, as it fills in the blanks. I am looking forward to watching films with actual dialogue, I think.
That's completely fair. Yeah, we'll make quite a significant jump forward in time for our next films. So, there is something about, like, just comparing where we are 100 years later. We're probably in a situation now where it's the complete other end of the scale, where everything needs to be 100% of the time explained for you.
Yeah.
And from things that I've heard and read, they're basically making films. Some streaming platforms are making films and asking their writers or directors or whatever to repeat story aspects so that people, if they're on their phones, can be reminded of what's going on so that they don't switch off.
Okay.
So, at least Nosferatu won't have to deal with that, I suppose.
Yeah, I can usually tell, how into something I'm watching I am, whether I'm picking up my phone and looking at it. Now, I did make a point of not doing that while I was watching this. My phone was off to the side, which was intentional, and I will keep that up for the other films we're doing as well. But it's usually a good indicator, and I wasn't reaching for my phone, but then I suppose I would have had the fear I would miss some crucial dialogue pop up if I had done that. Yeah.
There you go. Directors from Smiling in the Dark were telling you just make silent films and you'll get people's attention.
Yeah.
Or not. Okay, so we're talking about this first season, about we're trying to watch films that birthed a subgenre, and this one is probably fairly obvious. A vampire subgenre has probably come out of this, but it probably goes wider than that. But if we were talking specifically about the vampire subgenre, are there films that you, when watching this, were thinking, I can see aspects of this in X, Y, or Z?
I'm not too sure there were. Like, I think I'm probably a person that when it comes to vampire films, I'm going to use the wrong word here because I was going to say I look at things that are more modern, but what I probably mean is more 80s onwards.
Right, yeah.
Because like the
Well,
vampire,
80s is modern.
yeah, yeah. I like the vampire films that I loved were things like The Lost Boys, and why is the name of that other one? Fright Night. I was thinking, why is that going out of my head? I loved those films.
Oh,
And then,
Fright Night is so good.
Yeah. But probably, I mean, you see some basic influences like, darkness around the individual and things like that, with some of the central sort of lead characters that are in those films. That's maybe about it. Like, I probably don't see a lot else in there. One thing I was wondering about, and I don't know if you have any background knowledge of, I think I was doing some reading up, and I think there are some things that are shown in this that maybe weren't in the book in terms of things that can be done to impact a vampire. Right. And I thought, did these things then start here and then they've continued on? Because I'm trying to remember if exposure to direct sunlight was one of them. And that's obviously been a major trope through loads of vampire films, because the way this film finishes is basically kind of finally has what he wants and he loses himself a wee bit, and then he's gonna get caught right in a window with the sun beaming into him, and that's him gone in a puff of smoke.
That's right. Yeah.
Now that has played into loads of vampire things that I've seen. Is that sunlight, and you mentioned 30 Days a Night before as well. I mean that leans on that quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's hard to talk about because of the Dracula aspect, and this is taken, like 90% of its story from Bram Stoker's book. So you could be arguing, are we talking about the influence of Dracula, or are we talking about the influence of this film? But so things like the creepy castle, sleeping in the coffin during the day, even the sort of lusting after the innocent woman.
Yeah.
Let's say you find a lot of the aspects in a lot of vampire films. But then going back to what we were talking about earlier about dread, I feel like 99% of horror films have some aspect of that in it as well, and you could argue that some of the things that we see, like the walking up the stairs, creeping up the stairs thing, like when he's down in the bottom of the castle trying to find his way out, I think, is he trying to, and he comes across the coffin. Like, those are horror tropes that you find in not the exact thing, but you know what I mean, though. You could copy and paste those into 99% of horror films. So I think those aspects of it are taken as, I would say, probably taken as influences, and that thing of like a striking image of something as well. I'm just thinking about the thing that you said about sunlight. He comes out. He does come out during the daytime because he comes out on his horse and cart. He's got his wee hood on.
Yeah.
He comes out and fast forward. It's going really, really fast.
Yeah, true. Yep.
I thought that the look of Count Orlok has influenced some films. So I don't know if you've seen the original Salem's Lot.
I have. Yeah.
I don't know if you can remember the vampires, the vampire in that, but I thought you looked.
That's a good shout. Yeah.
From Dusk Till Dawn, the vampires have got a kind of similarity in that they're like they're not great looking vampires. They're sort of vicious and horrid looking.
Yeah.
Same with the Lost Boys when they change, I thought, and I thought Buffy the Vampires. I mean, it's not exactly. But the greatest influence, but they're the same. Like Dusk Till Dawn type vampires, like sort of horrible looking, as opposed to romanticised, handsome.
Yeah, because there are a lot of films go down that route, aren't there? When it's Dracula, it's always that tends to be a handsome charmer. And then most, like if you do look at Buffy the Vampire Slayer, there'll be one or two, and the rest of them will just look terrible.
Oh, listen, David Boreanaz is a handsome man. We both know that.
Of course.
Okay, cool. I would like to. I still think there's, we've obviously watched this, and we're only watching for this season films that have birthed the genre, but there's definitely scope for a vampire season down the line somewhere.
Yeah. Were there any other films in your mind that you thought, not even if you think influence, just ones you really enjoyed? Vampire or Dracula?
Vampire-wise, Dracula in 1992. Dracula's class to me.
Right.
I don't think I properly enjoyed that until I'm what I am now, a fully fledged adult. But I watched that as part of that 31 Days of Horror, and I absolutely loved it. Nice. Fright Night, like you mentioned, 30 Days a Night is a banger. Salem's Lot, I really enjoyed actually as well.
Yeah, so there was a relatively new Salem's Lot film.
Yeah, they remade it. Yeah, it's not as good as the 1970s one. No, it feels like there's millions of vampire films, doesn't it? But then when you think of good ones, it's probably quite hard to think of good ones.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of bad ones. Just because I think you've already got a basic story that you can kind of go anywhere you want with. They're probably fairly easy to come up with something. I mean, I've not really got a strong memory of lesbian vampire killers. I think I gave it a go and found it absolutely terrible.
What is? Have you seen Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter?
I've not.
No?
It's one of those things that pops up on Amazon, and I'm like,
I think it's supposed to be okay. I wouldn't mind watching that. I just thought of one there. It's completely out of my head. See if it comes back. Have you seen? I think there's like a late 1970s version of Nosferatu. I take it you've not seen that.
Not seen that. No.
Oh man, what did I just think of? Might come back. Okay. Oh, that's what it was. First two Blades.
Oh,
they're great films.
They are. I haven't watched those for, we must be talking 15 years or something like that. Yeah. Oh, so good though.
We're going to do this for every film we watch that's going to be touching on a different subgenre, and we're going to go, we need to watch those.
The thing is, you kind of forget what's out there, because there's so much out there now that when you're looking for something to watch, that you just go somewhere and you click something and you think, oh yeah, I'll watch that, and there's just, it's like there's too many options now.
Yeah, there is, 100%. Yeah. We were better when we had 5 channels, and you watched the film that was coming on. And also I see a lot of people posting now on social media their bookcases with their DVDs in it. I just think, imagine how cool we would have been like 10 years ago.
Yeah. I still have all my DVDs, but I put them in like these carry boxes, so I don't have the boxes for them anymore. I've just got the discs.
Yeah, I'm the same. You got like a big the bit with the slips. You put them in the slip. It's like a big zip thing.
I think I've got 4 of them.
Amazing.
But, I had so many DVD. I must have been well into the thousands, and because I'm lazy, I always think I'll check my telly and all my devices for the things I want to watch. What I should do one day is just go up there, open up, like pick one at a time, one carry box, just have a look through and pick out some things to watch.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Get all your subscriptions, get them all cancelled.
Yeah.
Get into your DVDs.
We've got a plan.
What about a standout scene? Do you have a favourite scene?
I think for me, it probably would be The Shadow on the Staircase.
Nice.
I mean, I had seen it before. In terms of the things I hadn't seen before, I really liked him rising from the laying down position to the upright position. Just little things like that. So yeah, I think those would be the ones for me. What about you?
Nice. I had a couple. I liked when he was on the first horse and cart and the guys refused to take him any further. That says a lot without telling you anything, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And but my proper favourite bit was he gets the castle. Hutter gets the castle, and they're sitting down to dinner, and he's cutting the bread with a knife. He's cutting it in such an awkward way, but he cuts it in such a way that he ends up cutting his finger. And
yeah.
The Countess like sitting reading what I assume is like the contract for the house that he's buying, and his eyes just sort of appear from above the contract. He comes over and we get the dialogue thing. It says something like "your blood, your precious blood" or something like that. Tries to drink it, and the guy's just like, "What the hell's going on here?"
Yeah. That would set some alarm bells, going.
A wee bit, aye.
Yeah.
Why is this guy who looks like he needs a good sleep peering at me, and now he's started licking my finger?
Brilliant.
Okay, so we're gonna each give our score. We're gonna go on a sliding scale from 0 to 6. Where would you give, or what would you give? Sorry, how many smiles would you give Nosferatu?
So I think the question I need to ask is: am I taking purely what I watched, or am I considering influence, limitations when it came to technology, that kind of thing, taking that into account? Or am I just saying this, based on what I watched, is...
Okay, so we're getting into where the smiles come from. I like it. I like it.
Sorry, I feel like I've thrown you a curveball.
No, not at all. I like it. So, if you went, so I watched Primate today, right?
Okay.
And if I was saying like out of 5 stars, I think I would, like 3. It was fine. It was. I suppose I wouldn't be taking into consideration all the other things, but the fact that it was made 100 years ago makes you think that you would. But then you wouldn't take into account inflation of scoring. So I would go based on what you saw.
Okay, so it was my first time watching it. I would say I enjoyed it more by the end than I thought I was going to when it started. I'm going to give it a 4.
Ooh, nice. I like that. Okay. I think simply for the fact that some of it has stayed with me, and for the build-up of dread, I also was going to give it a 4. I've got 4.5 smiles.
Okay.
From me, which is setting the bar quite high for a 100-year-old film.
Yeah.
On the first film that we've watched, but 4 and 4.5.
Yeah.
That
when I first started,
an average of 4.25 smiles.
Yeah. When I first started it, I thought, oh no, and I wasn't thinking that at the end. I was thinking that entertained me. So yeah.
Oh, that's great. Does it at all make you interested to see the Robert Eggers film?
It does. I'm curious because obviously this is going to be very modern, and I wonder if I might find it overwhelmingly modern with the way it deals with it. But there's a few things I'm curious about. Is like, can they capture that dread? Because that's one of the key things for me with all horror movies, really. And I guess I'll kind of be looking at how similar it is, where they've made any significant differences to it. So yeah.
Yeah. it's I won't spoil anything for you. I can't spoil the story anyway, obviously, but it's a lot more lusty,
Right.
and it's very loyal to the setting and all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
And it looks incredible.
Right.
Good to watch it in a very, very dark room with a very big screen.
Okay. That is how I like to do my films, my horror films.
We like to smile in the dark, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
I was reading about they used to do screenings of this Nosferatu at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
Okay.
And they would do it at St. Vincent's Chapel, inside the church, in the dark, and I just think that must have been amazing.
Yeah, that does sound pretty cool. Yeah.
I think they also did screenings with like an orchestra or whatever, playing the music. So I would maybe have to run out for the whimsical parts.
See, I think I kind of I went off kind of the cinema experience a while ago because, well, firstly, there's other people, and that doesn't always suit me. Like, there's people, they'll be like on their phones, and the light of that will catch my eye, and then there'll be people like making noise, and yeah. So I think if something like that at a totally different kind of venue, I'd hope people would respect it more.
Yeah.
If you're making an effort to go to something like that and properly like immerse themselves in the experience.
So I know I've started going on my own quite a lot to the cinema, and I'm off every second Monday, so I like to take myself to see stuff then, and sometimes I'm the only one in the cinema, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Because I remember going to see, I wish I could remember what it was. It was an adult film, not an adult film, but an 18. And there was a kid down the front playing like a Switch or something.
Oh.
I wish I could remember what it was, and it's just, yeah, we sound like old men, but it is frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It drives me kind of mad. I've not been to a cinema since pre-COVID.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm trying to remember what it was called. It was like it's a war film that's all in one take. 1917. That was it. That's the last thing I saw.
Nice. Wow, and it turned you off for life.
It was a good film. But the other people.
There's a film that I'm just remembering because that's one of the things that I saw not that long ago in the cinema. Sinners. There's another vampire film that we would be adding.
I did enjoy that. Yeah.
Oh, and I watched a vampire film at the weekend there that I'm sure you would absolutely have loved. It's called Night Watch. Okay. You heard of it?
No, I've not.
It's just new. Justin Long. Who else? Dermot Mulroney.
Okay.
Had the rapper Freddie Gibbs. YG. CM Punk.
Oh. Okay.
It was like kind of like Menace to Society meets From Dusk Till Dawn or something.
Oh, okay. It sounds interesting.
Like I liked it, but it's proper B movie stuff. But
yeah.
And I know you don't like CM Punk very much, so I think that would be. But maybe your love for Justin Long would
like Justin. He's a bit of a horror icon, isn't he? Justin Long turns up in these often bizarre films and sometimes has horrendous things happen to him.
Did he turn up? He didn't turn up in Weapons at all, did he? It's Barbarian. He turns up halfway through. It's like a Justin Long jump scare.
Yeah, but Barbarian, it's like a new film starts and he's at the centre of it. Just about half an hour in or something like that. It's a good film though.
They should have just had him running down the street like one of the children and Weapons in the background.
I remember him in like Jeepers Creepers and Tusk.
Oh yeah, amazing. Yeah, Scream King, I see people referring to him as the Scream King.
Yeah.
Okay, Nosferatu, Adam, holds a 97% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's impressive.
Is it?
Yeah.
Empire ranked it 21st in the 100 best films of world cinema in 2010. And do you know Roger Ebert?
Yeah.
The film critic. In 1997, he reviewed this, and this is one of the little bits that he said about it, which sum it up quite well for me. He says, "Is Nosferatu scary in the modern sense? Not for me. It knows none of the later tricks of the trade, like sudden threats that pop in from the side of the screen, but it remains effective. It doesn't scare us, but it haunts us."
Nice. I like that.
Yeah, he's pretty good at that whole thing, I think.
Yeah, quite well known for it.
Yeah. So yeah, that is Nosferatu. A good wee kick-off. It was about like 1 hour. It was longer than I expected it to be, actually. I think you said that as well.
1 hour 20,
or was it
1 hour 30? I think. Yeah, I thought it was probably going to be like 45-50 minutes, something like that. But when I clicked on it, I was surprised, and then in the end, pleasantly surprised, because I thought there was plenty there in there. I mean, you touched on earlier, some bits maybe dragged on a bit longer than they needed to, but there was plenty in the story. So yeah, it was. I think, did you describe it as brave for us to kick off with a silent movie from 1922?
Like brave or stupid, yeah. Too. Do you want me to go through what we've got under our belt for the rest of the season?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I've got it somewhere. I'm going through our WhatsApp conversation. There's quite a lot of mentions in Nosferatu. Right, okay. So, yeah, episode 1 was Cinematic Vampire Nosferatu. Episode 2, we'll be looking at psychological horror, and that'll be Psycho.
Yes.
Episode 3, Nature as Horror, that'll be Jaws.
Excellent.
And I was thinking today, did Cujo come out before Jaws? But Cujo's 80s and Jaws is 70s, isn't
it? Yeah, I think Jaws was first. Yeah.
Episode 4 will be the Modern Slasher, which is both of our favourite films, Halloween.
Brilliant.
Episode 5, Cabin Horror. I think that maybe needs refining. Is cabin horror a genre?
I mean,
in the
maybe?
woods horror.
Yeah.
Evil Dead. For that one, you love Evil Dead, don't you?
I do. Yeah, got a soft spot for kind of all of the Evil Dead films, to be honest. Even if
have you seen like was there one called Evil Dead Rise? Is it that the most recent one?
Yeah, I did watch that. It was fine. It didn't grab me the same way as the original 3. I think a lot of people maybe hate the third one, but I was all in. I loved it all.
Right. I take it as Bruce Campbell in the modern ones.
No. I think he had some sort of. Did he have a weird series that he featured in that was Evil Dead related? I think a few years ago.
Oh, did he? Oh, Ash versus or something or other.
Ash versus Evil Dead. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I'm not steeped in that at all, and I've only seen Evil Dead once, and I don't remember much about it.
Okay. Prepare yourself.
Okay. Episode 6, Cosmic Horror. Well, that'll be the James Carpenter's The Thing. Cannot wait for that. And this one too, Episode 7, Body Horror. That'll be The Fly.
Oh. I haven't seen The Fly.
You're making Jeff Goldblum noises.
Like, I remember being too young to see The Fly and seeing a moment that made me wince in a horrific way, and then watching it a few years later and being like, oh, this is amazing. And yeah, I don't think I've seen it for 20 years.
Yeah, same. I remember being like horrified by it. but like in a like this is amazing.
Yeah.
Episode 8, Meta Horror with Scream. Episode 9, Found Footage with the Blair Witch Project. Episode 10, I'm not sure I like this, Torture Horror with Saw. Yep. Episode 11, Social Horror with Get Out. And episode 12, Elevated Horror with Hereditary.
Is there, obviously you mentioned Evil Dead, which you don't really remember. Is there anything in there you've never seen?
There's no, actually, no.
I've seen them all, but most of them not for a long time. There was a moment when I nearly watched Jaws, and it was just, I think it was between Christmas and New Year, because BBC did this documentary about the making of Jaws.
Oh, cool.
And I was going to watch the film, then the documentary, and then I just decided to go straight to the documentary and didn't watch the film. So I will have seen it, I would think, within the last 10 years, but not too recently.
Right. Excellent. Well, maybe we could incorporate that. Oh, well, if you've watched it, maybe I could incorporate it.
There's quite a lot in it,
right.
Because they had their issues trying to make the film, and I don't think Steven Spielberg was established enough to completely explain away all the issues to, you know, the people paying for it and things like that. So I think there's probably a very real risk that it didn't get made at a point in time.
Well, awesome. Okay, I was going to ask you if you've watched any horrors recently before we sign off.
So I watched one called You're Next, and
oh, yes.
I was quite impressed by this. So it's basically, I would guess it's about maybe 15 years old, so a fairly modern horror film, and it's a sort of a person in an awkward situation going to meet their other half's family, and then finding themselves in a situation which has a lot of twists and turns in it, and you never quite know which way it's going to go, but kind of keeps you on your toes. There's a lot going on, quite a slowish start, but then once it gets going, there's a lot happening. Probably would go under the home invasion bracket, I would say. But there's a few twists and turns within that which make it nice and interesting. So I enjoyed that. I would recommend that for a watch.
Nice. I'm sure I've seen that, but like I said to you before, I think I get that mixed up with Ready or Not.
Yeah, there are similarities. Pretty different in terms of execution, but just in terms of the setup of the film, there's definite similarities.
Right.
I also watched one that I'm sure it was you that told me not to bother, and then I did, which was The Strangers Chapter 1. And I just saw it and thought, I'll give it a watch. And then as I was partway through, I was sure I remembered you saying, it's kind of like they've just remade The Strangers, but not done it as well. And I was like, oh, yeah, I was advised about this.
And did you feel the same?
I did, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't acted as well. It didn't give me the same feeling of dread as the original one had. So yeah, it was kind of a waste of about an hour and a half.
I kind of wanted to give it a pass because I thought that they're going to do Chapter 2 and 3, and maybe this is their way of setting up 2 and 3, but I think after watching that, you're also like, well, no, I'm not going to bother watching the other ones.
Yeah. So have you watched any horrors recently?
I watched that Night Patrol at the weekend there. I watched in Primate today. I think I probably wouldn't. I would recommend that night watch for you because I know what you like, but generally I don't think it's getting the greatest of receptions.
Okay.
Primate, I see a lot of hype for and stuff. I thought was all right. It was like good fun. I don't know. Do you know what is?
I don't. Nah.
All right. Okay. So, family. I've got a pet chimpanzee. Chimpanzee becomes rabid, goes fucking mental. Bunch of teens staying in the house. That's it. That's the premise.
Okay.
Some of it's good fun. But I did see there were screenings in America where there was someone in a chimpanzee outfit came in like halfway through and was like jumping all over the seats and that. Like, that's class. That's what you want for your cinema experience. No kids playing a Nintendo Switch.
I'd be a bit concerned if somebody did that with Cocaine Bear, but just whatever people want to.
Or the human centipede.
Yeah.
Concerning there,
Yeah.
Okay, with that, we shall sign off and be back with Psycho in 2 weeks' time. Looking forward to watching Psycho.
I am. It's one. If I was asked to list, 10 horror films, I think it is one I would list. But I've not seen it for quite a while. So yeah, looking forward to it. You?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I've only seen it the once. But
okay.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. Did you know that Osgood Perkins, that directed Longlegs and The Monkey and something else recently, he's related to Anthony Perkins. I don't know exactly. Maybe his dad?
I didn't know that they were related. No.
Aye.
Okay.
I think it's his dad.
I watched, this was around the Christmas time, I watched The Monkey, actually. I hadn't seen that
Enjoy
before.
it.
I found it really entertaining. I really enjoyed it. I didn't really know what to expect. I kind of thought it's going to be a bit ridiculous, but it is, but in good ways. It worked. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. That guy that plays the twins, I've seen him in other things, and he's not been like that at all. He's really entertaining in that.
Yeah. It was very good.
The opening scene with the actor, what's his name? Oh, I can't remember. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
With the fire thing. That's anyway.
Yeah.
I recommend definitely watch a Monkey. That's class.
Very good. Great fun, that one.
Right, Adam. We shall see you in 2 weeks' time, and please continue smiling in the dark.
Nice.